As a mobile developer, when you start to implement a feature, it may make sense to start with UI, but it can actually backfire. And I know, no, this doesn't make any sense, right? We get the screens from the designers, we see the screens in the tutorials and the sample code, we look at WWDC videos and see how to make cat food apps with Swift UI and such. So we're mobile developers, right? We build screens all the time, so why should we not start with UI? Well, the problem is, as a mobile developer, we don't just support UI, we support many different things, even entirely different platforms. So if you're stuck with one certain framework, let's say you're building a UI kit application and you're deciding to switch to Swift UI later on. Well, if over the years you've been building UI kit application, chances are you have a lot of business logic inside your UI layer. For example, a view model may make an API call, but besides doing that, it may also apply some fixes, some error handling logic to better support the view. Now, let's say you want to take this view and make it a Swift UI view. Well, now this little logic with all the little fixes is gone, right? It's not in the business layer and it's only in the UI kit layer, but not in the Swift UI layer. So now what are you gonna do? You have to either re-implement it, so it's duplicated code, or migrate it into the business layer, right? So either way, you have more work to do. Whereas if you're more conscious that you were putting business layer into the business logic into the UI layer, you didn't have this problem at all. Now it's a small problem, but it's kind of a death by a thousand cuts situation, because if you have these little things where business logic keeps creeping in the UI layer over time, well, it becomes kind of a larger problem, because now supporting a new platform or a new framework becomes much more difficult. And even if you never want to support tablets or watches, that's fine. But even so, we still have migrations, even if you just support phones, right? You go from UI kit to Swift UI, that's quite a serious migration. Maybe back again if you've been burned by Swift UI. You may want to try new architecture, new patterns, maybe something new is trending. So if you have this sort of like lean business logic and fat UI layer, it's much harder to do than vice versa, when you have like a lean UI layer, like a thin veneer over a fat business layer. So one exercise I like to do is thinking of my features as a command line tool. So in other words, what if your features could completely work without UI, right? Where possible, maybe not biometrics, but for example, you may want to fetch articles, you may want to upload images, you may want to send the data back and forth in one way or another, maybe store some data. Well, what if you could do this as a command line tool? Because if you even pretend that your feature can work this way, you already are creating more portable features. It's just going to be much more easy to just support different frameworks and platforms and so on. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to learn more, I recommend checking out the Mobile System Design book, which you can find on mobilesystemdesign.com, and you can also read some articles on swiftinDepth.com.